Hello race fans and welcome to Apex Hunter Motorsports' 6th round of its Grand Prix series here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. With a length of 4.3 kilometers or 2.6 miles, this is one of the shorter tracks on our calendar this season. With only 10 turns and 3 DRS zones, we expect a lot of overtaking opportunities from our grid and battles for the lead. We're gonna hop on board with Brian McGough for his pole position time of a 1:04.938. And for our starting grid, we have Brian McGough in first, Shade Bruffett in second, Cameron Stevens in third, Jimmy Crooks in fourth, Harry Krantz in fifth, Mark Samad in sixth, James Haskell in seventh, Bao Kang Wu in eighth, Jasper Grotheast in ninth, Sebastian Marino in 10th, Alec Hinchcliffe in 11th, Willie Atkinson in 12th, Leon Flukiger in 13th, Jeffrey Lawler in 14th, and Jaden Solomon in 15th. We are predicting that the one stop is the best strategy for this race. With the track temps reaching at over 45 degrees Celsius, it's going to be crucial that the drivers manage their first stint and try to extend those tires as long as possible. And as the lights go out, we see Brian McGough getting away well, but Jimmy Crooks had an amazing start as he overtakes Shade Bruffett into the run into turn 1, followed by Cameron Stevens behind him, and it looks like there might be an incident behind, so we have McGough leading Crooks, leading Shepard. And as we look toward that turn 1 incident, we see Shade Bruffett looking like he locks up his rear wheels, which sends him into the barrier and around he goes. The cars do well to avoid him, but super unfortunate turn of events for Shade Bruffett starting in second place. Catching up with our leaders, we have McGough leading Crooks, leading Stevens into the long run into the hairpin, but we do see Jeffrey Lawler going side by side with Samad into the hairpin as he steams down the inside to take that position. Stevens is catching up to Crooks in the early stages of this race as we head down towards turn 4 here. We see Stevens trailing behind as they go through into Power Horse. Stevens is still going side by side with Crooks, but Crooks manages to stay ahead. Stevens is going to be biding his time until he can get that DRS open in the next couple of laps. Catching up with the midfield, we see a flurry of cars rushing down the straight to turn 3 where that hairpin is, and we do see Jasper Grotheast making the best of this situation, coming up a couple of places. As he goes side by side with Wu into the hairpin, he just has to back off and Wu maintains position. Seb Marino behind him has Leon Flukiger for company, and as we rush down towards turn 4 here, we're about to enter the braking zone, and it looks like Grotheast is closing in, chooses the outside line, but manages to stay behind Wu. Flukiger looking to make a move on Marino into the hairpin, dives down the inside and makes that move happen. At the end of the second DRS zone, Solomon looks to make a move on Hinchcliffe, takes the inside and Hinchcliffe takes the outside. Hinchcliffe looks like he does have enough grip around that outside of that corner, and he does manage to keep his position. In the battle for P2 in the early stages of this race, we have Stevens diving down the inside of Jimmy Crooks into the hairpin and manages to get it done. We have a three-way battle between Wu, Flukiger, and Grotheast. Grotheast gets past Wu and goes side by side with Flukiger into the hairpin here, and we do see Grotheast managing to get ahead of Flukiger, but Flukiger is going to fight back with that DRS open, as we do see that rear wing opening right now, trying to get the slipstream on Grotheast as they go side by side through the next corner as well. Flukiger is on the outside and manages to keep the grip around this complex of corners here, and Flukiger does manage to keep that position. In the battle for P3, we have Lawler with that rear wing wide open, chasing down Jimmy Crooks, gets side by side and takes the outside on Crooks into the hairpin and keeping that position. Marino lining up a move on Wu, has that DRS wide open as he is trying to get a slipstream down this long straight here, and as he does take the outside line into the corner, he does manage to make the move happen. In the battle for the lead, we have Shepard looking to make a move on McGough into the hairpin, but he just decides to stay behind him as he will get the benefit of DRS down this next straight here. And as we do see that wing opening, he is trailing behind McGough, trying to get the slipstream to make the move happen into the next corner, and as he pulls side by side, he does take that lead. Grothies looking to make a move on Krantz into the hairpin as he takes the inside line but still goes side by side with Krantz, gets that DRS open as we see that rear wing right there wide open. As we go down the straight toward the corner here, Grothies still on the inside looking to capitalize, and he does make that move stick. But as Krantz goes right behind him, Grothies gets a little squirrely on exit, which allows Krantz to come back in and reclaim his position. Wu looking to make a move on Marino as we get to the exit of the hairpin here, and we do see Marino lock up a little bit. He might have tapped the brakes trying to gun it out of the corner, and we do see Wu with that DRS wide open. As we make our way down the straight toward the next corner here, we see Wu take the outside, Sebastian Marino on the inside. Marino still defending that inside as we go side by side around the corner here, and it looks like Marino might just have enough to stay ahead. In the battle for P4, we see Samad trying to dive down the inside on the hairpin here with Jimmy Crooks, who goes a little wide, which allows Samad to take that position. Flukiger makes a move on the inside of Haskell into that hairpin, but we do see Haskell very much in this fight as he is on those soft tires, and he will be getting that DRS since he's within 1 second of Flukiger. And as we make our way down the straight, we see them go side by side here. Flukiger takes the inside line into that corner, and he looks like he is just ahead and takes that position. Wu looking to have another go at Seb Marino as we get to the end of the second DRS zone. They go side by side through the corner here. Seb Marino is on the outside, and it is going to set him up nicely for the inside of the next set of corners. And as we do see Seb take that position, he just loses the rear and collects Wu. These two just keep going at it. We have Grothies defending against Krantz. Krantz gets the inside of that hairpin, and as we do see Grothies getting a little squirrely on exit, Krantz has that DRS wide open, and as they make their way down that straight, Krantz is on the inside looking to capitalize, but Grothies does break a little bit later, which allows him to go side by side through the next complex of corners here, and as we do see, he is set up very well to keep that position. They're at it yet again, but this time Krantz is on the back of Grothies, and as Krantz gets that rear wing wide open for the first DRS zone in this track down the main straight, he dives down the inside of Grothies into turn 1 to take that position. In the battle for P2, we have Lawler chasing down Brian McGough, and Lawler does have that rear wing wide open, and as we get toward the braking zone into the hairpin, he takes that inside line to take P2. Grothies is coming back with a vengeance as he does lock up a little bit into the hairpin. He gets the inside on Harry Krantz, and he does get that DRS open down the second part of the straight here. It's a drag race down toward the corner. Krantz on the outside, Grothies on the inside, and Grothies just manages to inch by, but as they go side by side through the next complex of corners here, Grothies does appear to be ahead and take the spot. In the battle for the lead, we have Lawler on the back of Stevens, and as we get to the end of the braking zone here, we see Lawler steam down the inside and take the lead of this race, but don't discount Cameron Stevens as he does have DRS down this straight, and as he is trailing behind Lawler, we do see Lawler get to the braking zone before and keep the position. Coming out of the last corner, we see Solomon very close to Willie Atkinson, and as he does get that DRS open, it's a drag race down the main straight, and Solomon pulls into the inside and takes the position ahead of Willie into turn 1. In the battle for P4, we see Samad looking to defend against Flukiger, and as we get to the end of the hairpin here, we see Flukiger right on the back of Samad's gearbox, and as he does get that rear wing wide open, it's a drag race down the straight, Samad pulling to the inside, trying to defend against Flukiger, but Flukiger finds his way around, and Samad has no answer to that. But as they go side by side through this next complex of corners, Flukiger does keep ahead of Samad. Wu looking to make a move on Marino, and as he does get the benefit of DRS down the main straight, Wu pulls into the inside and takes a position ahead of Seb Marino before turn 1. After a mega stint of 40 laps, we see our race leaders Jeffrey Lawler and Cameron Stevens dive into the pits. And after Stevens has been putting the pressure on Lawler, Lawler's done a great job to stay ahead. And as we do exit the pits, we see Lawler maintain track position ahead of Cameron Stevens, and as they approach a gaggle of cars, this may put a dent in their title fight. Lawler and Stevens have managed to dispatch the cars ahead of them and are now being led by Leon Flukeiger into the hairpin. And as we get to the braking zone here, we see Lawler pull to the inside and Flukeiger is beside and taps him a little bit, but they both make it out relatively unscathed. In the battle for the lead again at the closing stages of this race, we see Lawler making it through on McGough into the hairpin, and Stevens just has to stay behind McGough as they both get DRS down the straight. Lawler made a very critical move at this part of the race to get ahead of McGough before this DRS zone, and as we do see McGough and Stevens going side by side through this complex of corners, Stevens does have those soft tires to make the move stick. Rounding the final corner of this race, we see Jeffrey Lawler about to cross the line to claim victory here at the Red Bull Ring. Close behind him in P2, we have Cameron Stevens crossing the line, and finally we have Brian McGough coming in P3. And that concludes our race here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. The checkered flag sees Jeffrey Lawler taking first position, Cameron Stevens following close behind in second, Brian McGough in third, Jimmy Crooks in fourth, Mark Samad in fifth, Leon Flukeiger in sixth, Jasper Grothies in 7th, Harry Krantz in 8th, Shade Bruffett in 9th, Al Kinchcliffe in 10th, James Haskell in 11th, Bao Kang Wu in 12th, Sebastian Marino in 13th, Willie Atkinson in 14th, Jaden Solomon in 15th. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week at the Temple of Speed at Monza.